Hello there, YouTube. I am Necrostevo. And welcome to week 1 in the MGL. Our first week opponent is the illustrious Adamew. So make sure you go check out his information in the description. Now then, if you haven't already watched it, I did upload a Get Ready With Me where we were exceptionally glam, exceptionally serving, as it were, the specific things that go into what I brought this week. Now, if you're not really into watching those, I will say it's much more of a chill time than anything. And of course, you get a big glimpse behind my little curtain of what I do when I'm preparing for Draft League videos. So if you just need something to have on in the background while you're enjoying playing Pokemon Pokopia, that's the video to go watch. So go check it out. Now then, a quick recap. Our opponent Adamew has access to Pikachu, Servine, Lantern, Zweilous, Kubfu, Tentacool, Pupitar, Munchlax, Dupitor, and Cottony. And we are bringing, of course, our Raboot. We have a Porygon, nice and bulky, Life Orb Ghastly, Life Orb Vibrava, a Scarf Rufflet, and a little bulky little Wooper little boy. Oh, he's so cute. Alright, so we're actually honestly just going to get right into this battle video here. We can see that our opponent did bring the Pikachu, Servine, and the Lantern. We also see Kubfu here, Pupitar, and Munchlax. I was honestly very surprised in this matchup to not see Zweilous or Tentacool, and I was pretty surprised to see Pupitar and Munchlax. For this specific matchup here, I really liked seeing these Pokemon on Team Preview because I was like, great, Rufflet goes crazy here, and on top of that, Ghastly can put down a ton of damage. So I really liked the overall matchup. I did decide that leading with my Choice Scarf Rufflet was going to be a way to exert immediate pressure, because if he led with anything bar the Pupitar, I could just KO something outright with Brave Bird. Rufflet having that hustle ability, yes, that does mean the accuracy is lower. No, we do not care. We will be hitting our moves. Unfortunately, my opponent is a very wise man, and he leads immediately with his Pupitar. So we are going to get right out of there. Going for U-turn this early won't really tell him anything. It will tell him that I'm not banded, I suppose, just by the range. But Rufflet naturally outspeeds Pupitar, so he'll just know that I'm not banded here, and he won't really know what I'm holding. Now, I was afraid he would go for Stealth Rocks. I also was afraid he might go for our Rock-type move. Either one I wanted to take advantage of with Wooper. Wooper's #1 goal in this battle is to hit him with a whoop. There it is. Okay, no, that is not. He's not offensive this battle. He's just here to set up a layer of spikes. That is the primary thing that I wanted Wooper to do in this match. If I can get up a layer of spikes, not only does that allow things to be in range for Rufflet, but it'll also make my pivoting in and out with my Raboot much more lucrative, we will say.
That beautiful sound of cold hard cash. That beautiful, beautiful sound. Nickels, nickels, nickels. That beautiful sound of clinking nickels.
Earthquake does a lot of damage. I don't think that that is an invested Pupitar based off the damage. I think that's a much more defensive Pupitar. And that means we probably found Eviolite #1 in this little not fully evolved league game of Where's the Eviolite? Now in the MGL, you can only have 2 Eviolites per team per week. And of course your S tiers cannot carry an Eviolite. So we know it's not Pikachu. We do see the Pupitar, and I'm thinking the other Eviolite is probably on Servine most likely. Pupitar does swap out into the Servine. I was very tempted to go for a dual wing beat or even first impression there. But Servine comes in and soaks up that Earthquake from my Vibrava very well. He did miss a Rock Blast, but I don't think it would have done that much to my Vibrava, just because I don't think he's offensively invested on the Pupitar. Servine did make me afraid of knockoff here, so I go out into my Wooper, and here is where I do a dumb as it were, that I often hear kids on the internet say. I did a dumb, because I went into Whooper going, oh, I might lose my Eviolite, but then I can, you know, sacrifice it. He misses his Leaf Storm, and I clicked recover thinking that Whooper would be KO'd. And in my head, I was like, wow, from this range of HP, I can live a Leaf Storm. If I had my Eviolite, I could live the Leaf Storm, but I cannot live a Leaf Storm without the Eviolite. So I could have gotten off damage, I could have gotten up another layer of spikes there, but on the other side, it's kind of like he never missed the first Leaf Storm, I suppose. I really didn't take advantage of him missing that Leaf Storm at all because I made that play. Since we see that Servine switched moves from Knockoff to Leaf Storm, we know that I'm faster with a number of Pokemon here on my team. And once again, we're going to go into our choice Scarf Rufflet. Here, I really wanted to click U-turn. Again, with my layer of spikes up, now the U-turning action can begin. I don't know if you all remember that Usher song from, like, I think it was like 2002 or something, where he's like, it's called the U-turn. Give it to everybody, do the U-turn. But that is absolutely what I wanted to do here. Now, I ended up going for Brave Bird, though, because I figured I U-turned out previously, so we might think I'm going to do it this time. And after the layer of spikes that Whooper set up, Whooper is unconscious now, but he's still doing work because the layer of spikes allows us to take out the Pupitar and 2 Brave Birds. And I have not missed a Brave Bird, which feels great. It feels amazing. I can win. I feel great. I can do this.
Yes! I can win! I feel great! I can do this!
Hopefully. We will see. I am not very apprised of this metagame, and there is a lot of learning on the fly when you're in a new metagame. Now, my opponent goes out to Kubfu, and I was like, why would he go out to Kubfu unless he thinks that I'm not Scarfed and he thinks he can just hit me with something? And in my head, I was thinking that, okay, I'm going to go out to Ghastly expecting an Ice Punch, and then I'll be faster than him and hit him with something. But really, the best move would have just been to stay in and go for Brave Bird. He goes for Zen Headbutt, making an amazing read on the switch, and I lose one of my biggest offensive pieces in this fight. And now I also have nothing to swap in on fighting moves, which really sucks. The right move was just to stay in and Brave Bird every single time. He didn't really know if I was Scarfed or not, so I guess he probably could have predicted it, but if I had just stayed in, Zen Headbutt would not have KO'd Rufflet from almost near full HP from a little bit of recoil damage. Here, expecting him to go out into the Servine again, I go for Dual Wing Beat, and it does basically nothing to the Munchlax, and we've probably found the second Eviolite in this game of where's the Eviolite? Thinking from this range that I could KO him with an Earthquake and that he could not KO me with anything, I went for Earthquake, and I don't KO. He goes for Body Slam, and he does KO. So all of my expectations got flipped all around there. I really didn't think I was in any danger of getting KO'd. Is this an offensive an offensive Munchlax? I'm not sure. But at least we can go back out into Reboot and click U-turn here. I could also click Flare Blitz. Now, I was worried about clicking U-turn because if I turned into a bug type and he went on to Lantern, and Lantern was Flame Body, then I will get burned because I'm no longer a fire type. And I know that's a lot of words for my whole thought process there, but that's why I was so leery about clicking U-turn earlier in the battle, because I didn't want to get burned. I didn't mind getting burned on Rufflet because I had Facade, but I didn't really want my Raboot burned. Porygon here is going to be a very important piece in this endgame. With Porygon's Eviolite, it is not one-hit KO'd by Kubfu's Close Combat. It is not one-hit KO'd by a Light Ball Pikachu using Volt Tackle. It is not KO'd, you gotta get the point. There's nothing that he can do to one-shot my Porygon. Now, Trace here is not very useful at all against the Servine, and I know that he's going to be going for a knockoff here. And so I decide to double back out and go back out to Reboot, knowing that knockoff isn't going to really do that much, and I don't mind losing my boots because he doesn't get any entry hazards up on my side of the field. I now get to throw off a free Flare Blitz, which he smartly predicts and goes out into Lantern. However, I didn't mind this at all, because if he were flame body, then I would have done some chip damage. But since he is flash fire, that means that my Porygon can completely wall this Lantern, because I will switch out to it and I will trace his flash fire ability, which means Lampent's ghost moves won't hit Porygon's normal type, and Lantern's fire moves won't work against its own flash fire capability. So I don't know what happens if you set some lines of code on fire. It probably pisses off Hatsune Miku or something like that. But I was pretty happy with this outcome. Now here I really, truly, sorely wish I had Trick Room instead of Recover in this matchup. Trick Room would have gone crazy right here. And it was just so obvious to me that Servine was probably coming back in. I could go for Shadow Ball, which is a mid-ground play. It would do a lot more damage to the Lampent if he stayed in. But I do pull the trigger on the Ice Beam as Servine comes in, and Percy, very fortunately, drops to the Ice Beam here. I think that if the Servine had the Eviolite, I did need the Ice Beam to KO it there. But if it was not Eviolite, then it didn't really matter if I went for Shadow Ball or Ice Beam. But it did a lot for like my dopamine levels during the battle. I was like, hey, I got a call right. What do you do? Type of deal. Pikachu comes out. His S tier has hit the battlefield. And Light Ball doubling Pikachu's offensive stats means that nothing that I have in the back can take a hit from this thing. And this is where I really wish that I had Trick Room, which I did consider going into this battle. Pikachu goes for a massive Volt Tackle, and good gravy, that does a lot of damage, and I get paralyzed. He takes a lot of recoil too, though. And I do take down the Pikachu with Tri-Attack, but since we know that the Kubfu is very much scarfed in the back, this is unfortunately pretty much curtains for this team. Kubfu at this point can come out, and there is nothing that I can do to just stop close combat from running through the remainder of my team. Now, what are some other plays that I maybe could have done? I'm actually not sure. I think the main thing is just not throwing Ghastly out there. That was a really big misplay to bring out Ghastly like that. I could have just stayed in and Brave Birded, and the Kubfu would have died. Unless, I guess I am risking the flinch there. But there, I was not thinking of Zen Headbutt at all. So, I guess since we are going to get swept by this little Kubfu in the very end, really, it's just like a rest in peace, my team. They got hit by a Kubfuka. I even saw it come and couldn't stop a little bazooka. Kaboom. Kapow. Kaboom. I was on the field trying to win this little battle. Choice Scarf Kubfu left my shit rattled. Oh, it hurts. It hurts so much.
Kablow. Kaboom.
And I don't really have anything else. Thank you all so much for watching this battle. Thank you, Adamew, for the battle, for this NFE match in our first week in the MGL. I am hyped to be here. I am excited. It took so much for me to work up to doing this narration, but gosh darn it, was it fun. So I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all enjoyed the Get Ready With Me. Be sure to check them out. I will be doing another one for next week and week 2 of the MGL. And that is where we will get to face one of our fellow council members, Shroom Raver. Make sure you come back for it, because it's going to be really good. And we'll be powered up by the Eclipse and everything at that point too, so fantastic things all around. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I will catch you in the next battle. Good night.